Hi, my name's Cordy, and I wanted to announce that I'm doing a charity kind of collection for sufferers of licorice all sort habits. Myself, I think you'll know from my documentary that I'd suffered from this for a while. I've been clean now for 8 years. So I just wanted to kind of give back to this community. But yeah. Now, what I really wanted to do this lesson is talk about a lick that I played. It's one of the first videos I've ever done with the K line. I think it may even be the very first. So in it there's this lick that I play, and Nathaniel asked me to break this one down. It's on my sound slice, but I think I had a bad day when I was transcribing it, because I've looked at it again and yeah, it's not quite what I'd written. So I wanted to break it down and also show you how I think I'd practice this sort of thing, as well as talk about some of the kind of thinking behind some of this stuff. So one of the first things to say is that I think it's important when you've got something like this lick that you use a piece of software, or like a DAW or something like that, not an actual DAW, a DAW, to loop what's happening. So this is the way that I would practice it. I would, if I can get it to actually work properly. So when you're practicing this sort of thing, essentially you want to kind of minimize wasted time. So if there's this one part of a solo that you're having trouble with, then it's worth looping that section round. So find a piece of software that can help you to do that. I use Reaper for recording and stuff. You can also loop sections of songs and stuff, so it's really useful for that. So I'm gonna just play this at 50% speed. I don't know how well you'll hear it on my laptop, but hopefully you'll. So that's the lick at 50% speed. I'm kind of reading that through the sound slice thing right here. The sound slice one doesn't loop it perfectly, whereas if you got it in Reaper, you could really kind of get in there and it will just loop perfectly, so it's always staying in time and stuff like that. I think there's other bits of software that can do this stuff. But anyway, so let's just talk about the lick. So we're starting the lick half a beat before the bar. So these triplet semiquavers happen before beat 1, and that's kind of important, I think, to kind of figure out where things start and end. That's where I start with these kind of licks. So we got this kind of familiar pattern if you're into my playing. So that's the ascending line. Do this part first. And you'll probably notice that when you see it written down, I've written it in like the subdivisions, because basically I don't play this essentially in time, I guess is what. I'm in time for like the start and end of the phrase, but inside it's kind of this floating thing, so there's like a feeling of it kind of being disconnected to the beat, which is what makes it difficult to get the timing of these sorts of things down. And I think you'll see this in improvised music that's actually improvised. You'll kind of see this thing a bit more than if it's fully planned. You know, if I fully planned this lick, I'd probably just make it all match up perfectly and it wouldn't be kind of floating across the beat. I don't think I'd ever write anything with kind of you know, groups of 7 and stuff like that. So with this thing, that's also why I think it's important to try and slow the thing down and play it along with the phrase. So let's just try it again. So when we get up to, so we got here. So I view this as like part 2 of the phrase. get to that bottom part, maybe we'll call that part 3. I'll just stop there. And so important to get these kind of 3 bits up and feeling comfortable under the fingers and playing them comfortable slowly before you try and join them all together. And then the same kind of ascending idea starting from the E. I think it's something like this is the way I end it. So with the chromaticism. Something like that. Anyway, so it's kind of a mess of a lick. So when I'm playing it, initially I'm learning like the positions and all that stuff, and then I'm just playing it along slowly. And basically at that slow speed, just try and sort of match your way up with what's happening. So there's like Eric Johnson licks and stuff that I've tried to do this kind of thing with before as well, where maybe things don't kind of match up in perfect 4s or sextuplets. So and then gradually start to increase the speed. So here we'll try it, I don't know, 70%. And basically that's how I would recommend you to learn like a strange lick like this. Just play it slowly along with the track initially. So that's at 80% now, and then it starts to feel kind of, hopefully, if you've learnt it slowly and got it kind of floating along with the track in the same way that it does at those slower tempos, when you build up the speed, it should hopefully start to feel right. So yeah, now I just wanted to talk about how something like this might come about in your playing. So obviously I've not planned any of that lick. The things that I practice though are things like so Tom Quayle and David Beebe, you know, great legato guitarists and teachers, talk in their videos about things called pathways and legato pathways, and this is also I think what we're talking about when we're talking about playing slowly. So when you're playing fast, you're probably not thinking about these kind of movements particularly, but what is actually ending up happening is that your fingers will tread familiar pathways. So this is the point of practicing things slowly that will then translate to your faster kind of line playing. So you know, if you just practice then the chances are that's all that will ever creep up in your legato playing. So there's like that John Petrucci thing of the you know, maybe if that was one of the things you practiced, that might creep out in your fast kind of improvised lines. But essentially anything that you've not practiced slowly and, you know, methodically and got familiar with in all kinds of positions is probably never actually going to occur in your fast playing. So things like that kind of thing I think is probably from a Tom Quayle lick initially, or Guthrie. It's something that I've played countless times in various ways, and that's why that ends up happening in these faster licks. You know, and this kind of 8-note pattern even though I'm not playing that, you know, rigidly in time for this lick, still creeps out into the playing. And it's that kind of confidence and consistency of timing, even within a lick that isn't strictly kind of 16th note or whatever, that kind of makes this line still work, sort of, I think. It's because my fingers have done those kinds of moves many times. So yeah, that's what I would work on for this particular lick. And if you've got something like Reaper or Sound Slice, or you know, whatever you're using, slow it down and loop that section and play it with it over and over again. The tabs for this, I'll put up a PDF on Patreon, or JPEG, something like that. Anyway, you can learn it if you wanted to, and the backing track as well. But that's just some thoughts about how I would think about this stuff. Practice permutations of things and in all positions, and build up as many kind of pathways as possible. I think that's the key to kind of a little bit more freedom in this kind of legato improvisation, and lines that don't necessarily just go in the same direction all the time. But yeah, hopefully that's useful. If it was, if you could like and subscribe, we're getting pretty close to a good number now. So, but yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you for another video soon. Cheers.